It's encouraging to Guam, and I think the tide has, the tide of sentiment throughout the nation is shifting and has shifted rather dramatically, really in the past 5 to 10 years.
Attorney Bill Pesch is optimistic that tide will hit the Pacific sooner than later, especially with the historic repeal of the military's Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy.
I see that really as the harbinger of major social change, because if we look at any of the major social changes in the United States over the past several decades, whether it be gender equality, racial equality, and now I think sexual preference equality, the military really has always led the way.
But even with the social mindset shifting, one major obstacle for the gay community, especially here on Guam, has been the Catholic Church, vehemently opposed to gay marriage or same-sex civil unions. Even in Hawaii, after Governor Abercrombie signed the legislation into law, the Hawaii Catholic Conference expressed concerns that the passage of the legislation is a step toward legalizing same-sex marriage.
I think the church has lost so much standing in the community when it comes to moral issues that people are going to decide for themselves. It's just an obstacle for those of us who are trying to raise our families. And it's unfair. I'm a taxpayer. I think I give a lot back to this community, and I deserve the same rights as any other individual, and I think that's going to come.
Living on Guam for the last 33 years and spending the last 15 with his partner, Pesch is optimistic that the community will right the wrong and gay couples will have the same rights as married couples, but he doesn't believe a referendum is the way to go.
It may well be that if this went out for vote today, the public might vote it down to give equal rights to same-gender couples. But the legislature is supposed to see above that, and we have elected them to make these hard decisions. Make them.
Vice Speaker B.J. Cruz has been a proponent for same-sex civil unions. During the 30th Guam legislature, he even introduced legislation to legalize them, but couldn't obtain the necessary votes for passage, which left the bill dead before it could hit session floor. He's not ready to introduce the legislation again just yet.
Until I can get an educational campaign and have people understand it more clearly, I'm not going to move on it.
Attorney Pesch and others are hopeful the educational campaign will bring about same-sex civil unions here to help them obtain the rights they continue to fight for.
Exercise your conscience and get behind really a civil rights movement and encourage our senators to do what is correct, and that is to get behind a bill that will recognize same-gender relationships.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Mindy Egan.